Alright, so now we're just going to generally do a cleanup on the mesh, just get it situated. I'm also going to show you a different sculpting tool as far as Mudbox is concerned. There's another one that's just a little easier in my humble opinion. It doesn't look so ugly. So first thing we're going to do here is modify, center pivot, edit, delete by type history, modify, freeze transformations. So all kinds of cleanup. And then we're just going to go into hypergraph hierarchy and destroy anything in here that just doesn't make sense. I got these heads in the scene. Okay, get rid of the heads. Now I got 2 poly surfaces. I just want one. Delete any of the other ones. Call this Fred. Nice. And we're going to save scene. Okay, so the other one I speak of is Blender. And Blender is free. I'm just going to click on OBJ export and file export selection and just export this as an OBJ onto the desktop called Fred. Blender.org is where you get Blender. You can download it. Looks like this. 2.65 is the current build. Here's what's nice about it. Maya. Okay, so all the hotkeys are here. There's nothing new to learn as far as this goes. Click here. X to delete it, or you can hit delete on the keyboard. File import. OBJ export. This is a little different as far as the interface is concerned, but desktop, Fred, and there's Fred in all his glory. Let's click here to the box and turn on wireframe. And to get rid of that, if it's available. Here's a few things that you need to know about it. Under user preferences, there's Maya. If you ever need to go back to the plugin or the setup for it, Maya. And under here, I would take off inverted zoom direction and save as default. Okay, so go ahead and mouse around just for a second. You're going to find that Alt, middle mouse button, left mouse button, and right mouse button work the absolute same as what you left in Maya. Okay, and what's nice about this is it's not ugly. I don't know what the difference between, like, really, I can't get rid of the interface with Mudbox. Here, not so bad. Let's go to the sculpt mode, and here we're going to be using the grab tool, just like Mudbox. Instead of using the B key, we're using the bracket keys on the keyboard, and that allows me to grab. Down here below, we have symmetry, and I can turn symmetry X on, and now I can start moving these around. And it feels so much. I can't tell you how much better that actually works until you if you do a comparison on it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just straightening this out right here. Moving all this up. Moving that up just a little bit. Again, all I'm doing here is kind of making some landmarks. Okay, so here I'm making a landmark. Now, if you want to go into the orthographics, all you do is hold Control 1, 3, and 7. And if he's not facing forward, it's Control Alt. No, that's not going to work. Gotcha. Okay, so I'm just cleaning house here, making this as uniform as possible. You can see that I can make some big freaking changes all at once here and not hurt the mesh. So I can't describe what I'm kind of looking at here other than, you know, I just trying to straighten things out. Good. Let's go into the front view. Now, if you can't get to the front view, like this leads to the back view, here's a little trick. So if you look at this character, he's not facing in the right direction. Okay. In order to rectify that, you just go up here, hit N, and then I'm going to scale him negatively in Y. Now, Y is actually the Z in Blender. That's the only difference. So first off, Edit, Apply, Rotation and Scale. And you can see if I go like this, it's a -1. And that just moves him now in -1. Now to apply that, just like Maya, you apply rotation and scale. And now it's at 1. Perfect. So now if I hit Control 1 on the number pad, I get this. I'm just going to move this stuff around just a little bit. Brush it a little bit smaller. Moving these kneecaps just a little bit down. For the legs, I just want to get them all the same thickness. I don't really like having the musculature show at all at this level. So I'm thinking down the road, you know, like I'm using this mesh for a great deal of things. I kind of like keeping it skinny rather than fat, because if it's fat, it's hard to make it skinny. It just takes me a couple more seconds to get it skinnier. I'd rather have it thin as a rail, and then I can choose whether if I want to make it fatter or not later on. The gluteus maximus. Just gonna even that out a little bit. And if you hold shift, it will loosen this stuff up here in the center. Because what I don't like about having a meridian point here is the fact that it's just too close together. And these are pretty easy to adjust. I like that. Okay, so there's my cleanup on the mesh. Again, keep it as uniform as possible. Try to stay away from. So now these squares right here are about all the same size everywhere, except for maybe this leg area where it could stand to have another edge loop. But I'm ready to put it back into Maya. So export, wavefront OBJ, selection only, desktop, Fred, here's the old one. And let's import Fred the OBJ. 6 on the. Now you notice he's inside out. I can fix that real quick. So here's how you do that. Normals, reverse. And right click, assign existing material, Lambert 1. So you see the big difference here is the Z facing negative compared to the Z facing negative forward. That's something that you have to deal with transferring back and forth between programs. Okay, to fix that, we just go in here and say -1 and then modify freeze transformation. So you can definitely see the difference between the two. This one's a lot more uniformed, a lot more blank. This one got a little bit of tightness when it comes to faces. So I'm going to delete that one. And move this one to the center of my scene. And it is. Sweet. Alright, so that is low character model building with good topology in Maya, with a little splash of Blender mixed in between. Enjoy.